Theo, do you think it's tacky to get cheap laughs from props like this?
No, I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, mate.
He's dressed as a giant banana.
Did you see me on the telly last night, Dad?
Theo, you're dressed as a massive banana.
Do you like my dressing? Thank you, Morgs, by the way. He used it as a prop in a video a few years ago, and I took it to the darts. Anyone who wants to go to the darts, I fully recommend it.
He's dressed as a banana. All right, Theo, what video are we doing today?
So we're going for every Premier League club, and we're picking one player that we think needs to be sold.
Please give us 10,000 likes, because it's the new year.
Because it's Thog, Dad.
And the first team is Arsenal. I've gone with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Theo, this guy was exiled for disciplinary reasons, and Arsenal are better without him. He's been very greedy. Get him sold.
I completely agree. He plays by his own rules. He's got a bad attitude. And look how good Arsenal have been since he's left the squad.
Theo, he's a terrible example to the younger players, and this is a very good young squad. Sell him now. Get him off the wage bill.
They don't need him, and he's too expensive. Get him out. Simple as that. Sorry, Aubameyang.
Aston Villa now. I've gone with an Egyptian left winger called Trezeguet. And because, Theo, I don't know where he fits into the team anymore. I think Aston Villa have moved on. And I think if you sell him now, he's got a year and a half left on his contract. You'll get a bit of cash for him.
Absolutely, I agree with you. 2 and 2. Trezeguet is my pick. I just think Gerrard is developing a lot of young players and making an exciting team there. And Trezeguet, his level of quality, it doesn't meet that. I think Gerrard can do a lot better in that role. So yeah, sell him.
Brentford, and I found this one really difficult to be quite honest. And I went for a young centre forward called Marcus Forss Theo. Now he's 22 years old.
He's quite good.
He's a Finnish international. He's
not finished. He's what, 23?
Oh, nice joke there, Theo. But you know what? I don't think he's quite ready for the Premier League. So maybe you loan him out or you sell him. I think it's too early for him.
I don't actually know if he's 23, but whatever he is, I thought he was quite young. He was a good backup. When he comes onto the pitch, he actually shows he's got energy. I think that's the wrong decision. I've gone for one player, and the only player I can find in this Brentford squad who doesn't get in and around the squad and offers something to the team, because it seems like the whole Brentford 25-man squad has something to them which adds a little bit, but Joel Valencia is the only player I can say doesn't. He's only played in the EFL Cup this season. I'd say ship him on. They don't really need him, so yeah.
Brentford are very good at buying players, aren't they, Theo? There's very little waste there.
There is. That's why this was the hardest one. I had to tweet out solo saying, Brentford fans, who do you want sold in January? Because I don't know a player that really deserves to be sold. They're all performing.
Brighton and Hove Albion. I think we're going to agree. Theo, who've you gone for?
Jurgen Locadia. Do we agree?
Yeah. Theo, 4 years ago he came. 15 million quid. What a waste of money. His contract's up very soon.
I feel like we sit down here every single time and say Jurgen Locadia, his wages are high. He's never performing. Get him out of the club. We say it every year and he still isn't sold and he's still on the big wages. Brighton, get the job done.
Burnley now, and they've got a collection of ageing strikers, all good players, Theo, but there's too many of them, and I think it's actually fair on the players to let them go. So there's the likes of Mate Vidra, but I've gone for Jay Rodriguez, who I've always rated, Theo, but let him go. Let him find another club, maybe drop a level, and he can score some goals and get some game time.
I think game time's key if you're a footballer and you're not playing football. I think it's actually quite depressing, so I'm sure a lot of these footballers that are either sitting on the bench in the squad, not getting regular football, you might as well step down a league and you might go on a good run and actually enjoy it more for your career's sake. I've gone for Tarkowski. He's getting every game time. The reason I've put him to be sold for Burnley, and it's going to cause a lot of debate because he's Burnley's best player on his day, but at the moment he's not the best player. And actually when you watch him in a Burnley shirt, he doesn't even look like anywhere near that. He doesn't care. The way they lost 3-1 to Leeds, the match before they got battered 3-1 against United, it's just these running defeats. And it's the big players like Tarkowski who don't look to care enough. It's probably better that they cash in on the good money they can get for him now, reinvest that around the squad, and maybe Burnley can stay up.
Yeah, mentally he's maybe near the exit door, Theo, but he is one of Burnley's best players. Now I know this is driven by the balance sheet because his contract ends in 6 months.
Exactly, and it's either you're getting some money for him now or you're not getting anything for him in the summer, because by the way he's playing at the moment, he doesn't want to be a Burnley player. So you might as well cash in on him now and reinvest.
Chelsea, and I've gone for Ross Barkley. Now, I've always liked Ross Barkley. I followed him when he was at Everton. He's been an England player. He's at the wrong club. He's just not big four material. He needs to drop further down the Premier League, find another club for the sake of his career.
And when he plays, he's not consistent. You don't know what Ross Barkley you're getting. The one that just gives the ball away every 2 seconds, or he actually can perform and score a goal and assist and be brilliant in the Prem. That's the weird thing. He can actually turn up. But for me, I'm going Lukaku. It's very simple. The guy's got an attitude problem and it's affected the squad. Actually, when they went 2-0 down against Liverpool, I thought there's some problem in the dressing room. Lukaku's affected that. You know, know, one day in training, this whole interview comes out from Italy, and all these quotes come out how he wants to leave the club. By the way, 3 months late as well. What do you think the Chelsea squad are thinking? This is the guy we've set up for Liverpool to be the number 9, play a style of football towards him. He's scoring goals in this squad now again. And all of a sudden, he's come out with this interview where he doesn't even want to play with us. I'd be annoyed if I was a Chelsea player. And clearly it affected Tuchel and the Chelsea board because they dropped him. That is a poor decision that's causing towards his bad attitude. They need to get that out of the club.
Yes, I agree that he's been disrespectful to the manager, to the fans, to the club. I agree with that. But in life, aren't you allowed to make a mistake?
You're allowed to make a mistake, but it's a running occurrence with Lukaku. He's got a bad attitude. Tuchel doesn't need that. I feel like this was an Abramovich signing, not the manager. That's why the system hasn't been towards him this season so far.
Do you know what I do? I would give him a fine. I'd give him a dressing down. And then I want to see him playing in 2 weeks' time. I disagree with you. I'd be selling Ross Barkley and I'd be laying down the law to Lukaku. But I do agree, he is a serial offender. Everton fans would probably agree with you. He's done this before.
Or plan B, you cash in on him and reinvest it in the squad to players that will play under Tuchel. He's still a great player. We know that. We saw it at Belgium. There's many clubs like Barca and Real Madrid that'd be dying for a striker like him. You know what I mean?
Crystal Palace, I've gone for Luka Milivojevic. Theo, do you agree with that?
Completely do. I think Palace needs to get rid of him. They've got some great midfielders now in the squad. Kouyaté, Conor Gallagher, to name a few. We've seen Hughes come in. There's no space for Luka.
That is true. Now, Crystal Palace have moved on and he hasn't. 2 or 3 years ago, he was banging them in. He was in people's fantasy football teams.
Yeah.
But now he's got a year and a half left on his contract. He'd be really good in a different league, maybe dropping a division, but not Crystal Palace.
His contract's expiring next summer. You might as well cash in on him now.
Everton, and it's got to be Cenk Tosun, Theo. 4 years ago, he came from Besiktas for 20 million and he's never lived up to that money, has he?
Correct. A player that when he first signed was under Big Sam, and we've seen about 3 different managers since then. It's never really worked at the Toffees, has it?
Absolutely not. Move him on. His contract does end in 6 months, so most likely he'll stick around. But you know what? Go back to the Turkish league, go to a different league, but not Everton, not the Premier League.
I've gone for Alex Iwobi, and it's very self-explanatory. The guy, I don't know why they spent big money on him and gave him a huge wage. He's not a good player. He makes silly decisions. He tries silly skills in the middle of the park. Every time he comes on from the Everton bench, he doesn't look like a good player. Part of the reason Everton is so fuming with their board, they make bad decisions. This was one of them. Get him out.
I agree with that. There seems to be a lot of dead wood at Everton, Theo. A big rebuilding job to be done.
I don't even think Alex Iwobi can be good. I just don't think he's good enough for the Toffees level.
Leeds United, and I've gone for a striker. He's a young lad. He's only got 1 goal and 1 assist this season. He just doesn't do enough. Tyler Roberts, Theo.
Yeah, completely agree. I think he's championship at best. I feel for him because he does try in matches, but it just doesn't come off because he's not good enough.
And the thing about Leeds, they've got some good strikers in Bamford, Gelhardt, young Sam Greenwood. Rodrigo, I think, is good enough to stay. I'm sorry, Tyler Roberts. Move on somewhere else. Maybe drop a division.
Exactly. I've been really impressed by Joe Gelhardt. I think he's amazing. When you see him play, dribbling, pace, flair, that guy's going to be the future of Leeds United. Give him a chance because he's the one that should be playing in there, not Tyler Roberts. You could do better than that. And Bamford, he's going to be back soon, taking that role back anyway.
Leicester City, Theo, what do you reckon?
Ryan Bertrand.
Yeah, I
too passive, not good enough for Leicester City. I think Brendan Rodgers can do better than him.
It was a strange signing, wasn't it? He came from Southampton on a free. He's 32 years old. Leicester, I think you should be aiming higher. No disrespect to Ryan.
Well, exactly. He's someone that's makeshift, clearly there for squad depth, but you might as well go for the youth. You see likes of Luke Thomas. He puts in a shift. He literally pocketed Mo Salah. Go for players like them over Ryan Bertrand. Do you know what I mean?
I do, Theo. Now, Leicester City, they've got big injury woes, haven't they? But they do have to invest in the defence. It's been woeful. When you compare them with the likes of Wolverhampton Wanderers, they've conceded twice as many goals, haven't they?
It's mental. And they're in Europe as well, so they need more squad depth. So get it done.
Liverpool, I've gone for a good player. His name is Nat Phillips from Bolton. He's 24 years old. But the thing is, he's got 3.5 years left on his contract, and I can't see him getting much game time, and surely he should go elsewhere. He's good enough to go to a Premier League club. You could get 10 to 15 million for him. Sell him on. You
might as well. His time has come. He put in a real shift that season. Do you remember he started at centre-back because Van Dijk was injured?
I've got massive respect for him, Theo.
And
He did a great job,
He's
but
playing
he's
in Europe.
not going to get selected, is he?
But I've gone for a more interesting pick, James Milner.
Oh, that's a bit harsh.
And I know what you're going to say. You call him Jamie Milner. You love him, don't you, Dad?
I respect him. I've seen him from a 17, 18-year-old. I think it was at Leeds, come all the way through. He still puts in a shift. Now, I know you're going to point to the last couple of games where he might have made a few mistakes.
No, I'm not. I'm going to point to the fact that in 2 days he's 36 and he's on 120k a week.
Yeah.
Go for Tyler Morton.
I don't think he's ready. I don't think he's ready.
What's Morton on? A grand a week? I mean, seriously, That guy is going to put in more of a shift. He's only going to improve. He's the future of Liverpool Football Club. James Milner, 120k, if he's 36. Just get him out there. Just get him out the team. I just don't think it's needed. They need to look into the future.
Yeah, I agree that Liverpool need to freshen up in many key positions over the next 2 or 3 years. But Jamie Milner, when he comes on that pitch, he gives it 100%.
I know he gives it 100%, but I just don't think he's good enough. I think they need to start looking forward. He's been an unreal servant and he's put in amazing shifts, but it's time to look forward.
Manchester City now. I'm going for a lad who came in 5 years ago from Red Star Belgrade for 2 million quid, Luka Ilic. And you're probably wondering, who is he? And I'll tell you what, he's been out on loan, he's been injured. It's obviously not working.
Yeah, I've gone for a more interesting pick again, John Stones. And the reason being, he doesn't get game time. And I honestly think he's one of England's best centre-backs. I want him fit and ready for Qatar. Okay, I'm an Englishman who's seeing his career going to the waste because Pep would rather pick Nathan Ake, Laporte and Ruben Diaz. John Stones is not getting the team right now and it's disappointing me. Either he needs a chance back in that first team or he needs to go to a different club.
Wow, again, a little bit harsh. Don't you think he's very good backup? Think of the number of games that the likes of City play in the Champions League, in the Cups, in the Premier League. Don't you need him on the bench there?
I think John Stones is a good enough centre-back to be a captain and a top player playing every single week at a different football club. I think he's one of England's best talents in that position and I want to see him playing every single week, no question. And it disappoints me when he doesn't. And that's why I believe he's going to be... And I know what Pep's doing. He's holding him and he's going to give him more game time in the second half of the season when they start to rotate. Because as you know, he's resting a lot of his top players like De Bruyne. He's only played 10 games this season out of potential 20? Yeah. There's a reason for that. They're stopping them from getting burnt out. And that's probably what he's doing with Stones. But it's just annoying. I want to see him play more.
I understand your logic. Now, would he go to a Big Four team or would he drop a bit?
Oh, Dad, he could go anywhere. Drop a bit. That guy could be a regular centre-back for any Premier League club.
And now for Manchester United. And I've gone for Anthony Martial. Now, Theo, he's 26 years old. He was brilliant back in the day. If you look at his stats from 3 or 4 years ago, they were sensational. But he doesn't want to be there. It's just not working.
No.
So let him go in his prime, get some money, get him off the wage bill. Anthony Martial.
Do you remember when he turned into a number 9 and got a bit bulkier and had over 20 contributions in a season? That guy was we got him some respect. He was a good Premier League player.
He's a lesser player now. Do you blame Ollie? I don't know the reason, but for some reason he's not as good
injuries.
now as he was years ago.
Dad, he's not properly played for 12 months because of injuries. And that is gutting. Another talented boy who I believe could blossom elsewhere, Donny van der Beek.
Okay, talk me through it.
The reason I've picked Donny, I think he could do really well in a foreign European league where the game is a little bit slower paced. He's not the quickest footballer in the world.
Yeah.
I just think he's amazing technically. Throw him in the Serie A, I reckon he completely blossoms and turn him to a really top midfielder.
Do you see him as a central midfielder or a more attacking midfielder?
Van der Beek would work in a Liverpool system in a 4-3-3 as that third midfielder that could push on a little bit and use the free forwards as part to connect. It's just a shame it doesn't work in the system at United. That's why I think he should move on.
Newcastle United, I've gone with Kieran Clark. Now, loads of the Geordie fans have come up with this name.
Yeah.
He's lacking in confidence. He's making mistakes. And the consensus is maybe drop down a division.
Absolutely. I saw his name about 1,000 times on the tweet. Seriously, it's crazy. The player I've gone for Newcastle was Jeff Hendrick. I never thought it was a great signing for Newcastle, and he scored 2 goals in his debut. And I took it all back. I was like, I've had a shocker here. But he's done nothing since that match.
But he's a decent player. He's just in the wrong place.
Newcastle, if they want to survive as a Premier League football club, they need to be looking at Ousmane Dembele. They need to be looking at Nicolas Soulé, Tarkowski, the top players they're linked with. Get Jeff Hendrick and the other deadwood, like you mentioned, Kieran Clark, out the team.
Over to Norwich now. Theo, who've you gone for, lad?
Todd Cantwell. And actually, it's a real shame because that guy's so talented. Do you remember when he was linked with Uniteds and Aston Villa at one stage? And they were talking 25, 30 million pounds. I don't think anyone's going to buy that.
2 years ago, Theo, he was brilliant, but something's gone wrong. Now, there was a famous falling out with the manager.
Yeah.
Maybe he's missing Emiliano Buendia. Whatever it is, it's not working. He's not getting a game for Norwich City.
He needs a new club, a new environment, and I hope for the best of his career that he finds his form again.
Absolutely. He's a talented young player. Move away, go somewhere else, and think about going overseas. Think about the likes of Germany.
I don't know what happened with him and Gilmore off the pitch. I don't know if it's affected his season, but he needs to get out of the club. He needs to go somewhere and find his old form.
Southampton now, and I hate to do this, but Theo Walcott. Now I remember,
really?
I remember, when he was 17 and coming through, he was an amazing player in his day. But age 32 for Southampton, does he really fit in anymore?
Good point. And another player that doesn't fit the system is Dianepo.
Yeah.
In the 4-2-2, there isn't really room for him with Ralph. I just don't think he's good enough. Southampton fans, do you agree with me? Let me know in the comments below.
Tottenham Hotspur now, and it has to be Matt Doherty, Theo. He came for 15 million. He smashed it at Wolverhampton Wanderers. He put on a Tottenham Hotspur shirt And honestly, he's just not been very good. And his contract, he's got another 2.5 years of that contract.
He's not good enough.
Sell him.
I've gone for Dele Alli.
Sorry, is Beadle about?
No, I've gone for Dele Alli.
You've gone for Dele Alli?
Tottenham need to sell Dele Alli.
Wow, you don't think there's a player in there?
There is, and that's why I think he needs a new club and a new environment. I think they need to ship him off. We've not seen the old Dele Alli, and I think all the Tottenham fans want to see it. But for the best of his career, he needs to move somewhere where from he's settled. Right now, he's comfortable in Tottenham, being there with his family and his friends all nearby. He should go to a different country, a different league completely. Throw himself in the deep end, be away from all the distractions and focus on the player that he was before. That's the best for his personal career. I think the Tottenham fans would want that. Maybe a loan move to like an AC Milan, where he thrives and then comes back to Tottenham, a different player, and maybe his old form will come back.
Yeah, I do see the logic to some extent, but don't you think the green shoots, we've seen those in the last few weeks?
We have, and we're starting to see the player he possibly could be. But he's not going to get regular game time at Tottenham right now. They've got Lucas Moura performing, Heung-Min Son, Harry Kane, potentially buying Adama Traore. There's not enough room for Dele Alli to get 90 minutes at Tottenham every single week. So go to a big club abroad. That's my take.
Watford have gone for Dan Gosling, Theo. He's in his 30s. He's not getting in the starting 11. Why is he at Watford?
Exactly. And if they want to survive, they also need to get rid of Danny Rose, because I just don't think he's good enough. I'm really disappointed for Rose. I think he needs to move away from London and just completely move area, go somewhere new, fresh. It hasn't been working his last few moves. I really feel for him. But yeah, best of luck to Watford and to Danny Rose's career.
West Ham United. I hope we agree on this one. Theo, who's yours?
It's the same name we say every single year about West Ham. He's still in that team, and surprisingly, he's one of the highest earners.
Andre Yarmolenko.
Correct.
I think West Ham have moved on so much and he hasn't. His contract's up in 6 months. I guess he's just going to stick around and bank the coin.
The only time I think about him is when there's like a Euros or a tournament internationally like that, where I sign him on FPL for a few goals. That's it.
The thing is, he's a bit of a hero in Ukraine. His
love him.
stats for the country are brilliant. So
He's amazing
surely
for
he
them.
can go somewhere else and score goals.
It's like Jordan Pickford. Turns up for country, never for club.
Wolverhampton Wanderers finally, and I've gone for a lad who cost 36 million quid. He's only 19. This might be a bit harsh, Fabio Silva, because from what I've seen of him, I think he's too lightweight. I just think he'll never make it in the Premier League. Not good enough.
Did you watch him in the last few minutes of that Wolves game when he played like,
He
20
didn't
minutes?
too much. The difference in that game was Adama Traore going up the wing with his pace.
And my pick is Adama Traore. He's not getting regular football at Wolverhampton Wanderers. Why should they keep him? They're sitting on what, 30, 40 million potentially?
Yes.
And he's what, not playing every single game? The guy for his own career could be very good. I think a move to a team like Tottenham Hotspur would be the best for him, where he regularly plays around a different system, different team, and maybe his contributions will be a little bit better. I'm not saying he's a bad player for Wolves. He's a very good impact sub. We saw it against Manchester United, where he came on and basically caused the goal. He crossed the infield, Jones headed out, Jaume Moutinho volleyed it in. He's not even starting for them.
I've always wondered whether the Premier League is right for him or whether he should go to France or
He could
Spain.
go anywhere and smash it, but we need to see a difference. Let's see for his own career if he leaves.
Yeah, and certainly if they get 30, 40 million, you got to sell him.
Yeah.
Right, guys, that's the video. Don't forget to press the subscribe button with your massive fingers. He's dressed like a banana.
Up the Premier League, up the PDC, and like and subscribe. How many likes we go for, do you say?
He's dressed like a banana.
That's it.
10,000
I'm out.
likes.
I'm out.